A multi-million-dollar investment is bringing back dozens of laid-off workers at General Motors' Tonawanda engine plant. As News 4's Rachel Kingston reports, the automaker is powering up 2 new engine lines.
General Motors, the biggest automaker in the US, is diving headfirst into the electric vehicle game. They're not just talking about it, they're betting their future on it. GM's CEO, Barra, has a bold vision for an all-electric future, where cars contribute to 0 crashes, 0 emissions, and 0 congestion.
We're working to a goal where we have 0 crashes, 0 emissions, and 0 congestion.
She's confident that GM will dominate the US EV market by the middle of the decade, claiming they'll take the #1 spot.
We're going to be #1 mid-decade in EVs in the US.
The Ultium Battery. The star of their EV push is the Ultium Battery. This isn't just any battery, it's a game plan wrapped in cutting-edge tech. The Ultium Battery starts with a single cell, a building block if you will, that can be adapted to fit into all sorts of vehicles. Imagine a system so versatile it can power a massive Hummer, a sleek Cadillac Lyrique, or pretty much anything else GM dreams up, and they can do it quickly. GM is putting its money where its mouth is, and it is planning to pour $35 billion into electric and autonomous vehicles by 2025. They're aiming for the capacity to crank out 1 million EVs annually and want to have over 30 electric models hitting the market globally during that time. Most of these will run on the new Ultium Platform. By 2035, GM plans to make all its light-duty vehicles electric, but they're not stopping at personal cars. GM is also expanding into the commercial EV sector with its BrightDrop brand. They've already started delivering BrightDrop vehicles to FedEx and have secured a contract with Walmart. It's clear they're serious about carving out a big slice of the EV market pie. Of course, GM isn't the only player in the EV game. Automakers everywhere, big and small, are racing to roll out electric vehicles. Startups are popping up left and right, hoping to make their mark. So, what makes GM's Ultium Platform stand out? They believe they've nailed it by partnering with LG Energy Solutions, a battery cell manufacturing powerhouse, and building 3 massive battery factories in the US in Ohio, Tennessee, and Michigan. GM is confident that this collaboration and their innovative battery tech will make their vehicles some of the best on the market. To see what all the fuss is about, CNBC went behind the scenes at GM's battery lab. This is where the magic happens, where GM's engineers are perfecting the Ultium Platform and ensuring all the pieces work seamlessly together. The Ultium Platform isn't just about better batteries, it's a complete overhaul of how EVs are built, from the motors to the software. The Ultium Battery itself is a large-format lithium-ion design, the heart of GM's EV strategy. Tim Grew, GM's electrification guru, explains that it's all about combining cutting-edge components into a system that works together flawlessly. The battery's modular design means it can be scaled up or down to fit everything from heavy-duty trucks to sleek sedans. GM has already rolled out several vehicles using the Ultium Platform, including the GMC Hummer EV, the Cadillac Lyrique, the Chevrolet Silverado EV, and even a fully electric Corvette. There's also a new Cadillac Celestiq sedan and the Chevrolet Blazer EV in the works. The way a battery works might sound like science class, but it's fascinating when you break it down. A battery generates electricity through a chemical reaction, with an anode and cathode on either end, separated by chemicals and an electrolyte. When the battery discharges, ions move from the anode to the cathode, creating electricity. When charging, they move in reverse. GM's engineers describe it in relatable terms, comparing the anode and cathode to parking garages where lithium ions park, depending on whether the battery is charging or discharging. What makes the Ultium Platform particularly innovative is its battery chemistry. Traditional EV batteries often rely on cobalt, which is pricey and not easy to source. Tesla, for instance, has been using a mix of nickel, cobalt, and aluminum in many of its vehicles. But GM's Ultium Platform is breaking new ground with a chemistry that uses less cobalt and incorporates other elements to reduce costs and reliance on hard-to-get materials. They're even working toward cobalt-free designs, which could be a game-changer for the industry. This isn't just about making batteries cheaper, it's about making them better for the environment too. Mining cobalt and other rare materials can be harmful and politically tricky. By reducing reliance on these resources, GM's Ultium batteries could help make EVs more sustainable while also lowering costs for consumers. Beyond the tech, GM's vision is about building an entire ecosystem around EVs. The new ecosystem. Their 3 new battery factories are just the beginning. They're also investing heavily in research and development, partnerships, and new manufacturing techniques to ensure they can scale up production quickly and efficiently. They're not just trying to catch up to companies like Tesla. They want to leapfrog them. GM's commitment to innovation is evident in their battery lab, where scientists and engineers are constantly experimenting with new materials and designs. They're not just testing for performance, they're thinking about how these batteries will hold up over time, how they'll perform in extreme conditions, and even how they can be recycled at the end of their life. The modular design of the Ultium battery is a big selling point. Instead of designing different batteries for different vehicles, GM can use the same basic cell across its entire lineup. This makes production simpler and cheaper, while also giving engineers more flexibility in designing vehicles. It's like having a set of Lego bricks that can be rearranged to build anything from a sports car to a semi-truck. And then there's the software. Modern EVs are as much about code as they are about hardware, and GM is investing heavily in the digital side of things. The Ultium Platform includes new software designed to optimize battery performance, improve charging times, and even update the vehicle remotely. This kind of over-the-air update capability is something Tesla has been doing for years, but GM is catching up fast. GM is teaming up with LG Energy Solutions to create a battery chemistry that shakes up the game. Their new design cuts the cobalt content by a massive 70%. Why is this a big deal? Because cobalt is one of the most expensive parts of a battery. By reducing its use and adding elements like nickel, manganese, and aluminum, GM is on track to bring down the cost of its Ultium battery packs to under $100 per kilowatt-hour. That number is like the holy grail for EV makers because it's the tipping point where EVs become just as affordable as gas-powered cars. But GM isn't stopping there. Battery Management System GM is taking a unique approach to battery technology with its Ultium platform, setting itself apart from competitors, including Tesla, in a number of important ways. One of the standout features is GM's advanced battery management system. While many companies monitor the battery as a whole pack, GM goes a step further by monitoring individual modules within the battery. This means that if a particular module needs replacing, GM can swap out just that part instead of replacing the entire battery pack. This approach is not only smarter, but also more cost-effective. Additionally, it allows for mixing and matching newer technologies with older packs, ensuring that upgrades can be made without disruption. To put this into perspective, think of the battery in your phone or tablet. Most of these devices use pouch batteries, but these aren't built to handle the tough demands of an electric vehicle. GM has taken the basic idea of pouch batteries and made them more durable and suitable for the automotive world. They've reinforced the design with added insulation, ensuring the batteries can endure the lifespan of a vehicle while maintaining efficiency. One of GM's key innovations is how they pack the cells. Rather than leaving gaps between them, GM arranges the cells tightly side by side, reducing wasted space and maximizing energy capacity. This design is incredibly flexible, allowing GM to adjust the shape and configuration of the cells depending on the vehicle's needs. For example, their cars in China use a prismatic can design, which is shorter and wider compared to the longer cells typically used in the US. This ability to adapt to different market demands gives GM a significant edge in producing vehicles tailored to regional preferences. Speaking of China, the country is the world's largest electric vehicle market, and GM has made some serious moves there. In 2021, GM sold 2.9 million vehicles in China, with their new energy vehicles, including both plug-in hybrids and fully electric cars, seeing major growth. Their Buick Velite EV lineup, for instance, doubled its sales year over year, reflecting the increasing demand for EVs in the region. In fact, GM has been so successful in China that it now sells more EVs than Tesla in the country, which is no small feat given Tesla's prominence in the global EV market. The Ultium platform's flexibility goes beyond just battery chemistry and design. It extends to how the batteries are assembled within vehicles. GM's modular approach means that the battery modules can be arranged both vertically and horizontally, depending on the vehicle's requirements. For example, a full-size truck might have up to 24 battery modules stacked together, while a smaller vehicle like a sports car might only need a single layer of modules. This adaptability allows GM to optimize battery size and configuration for each specific model, ensuring efficiency without overcomplicating the manufacturing process. Take the Cadillac Lyriq as an example. Its battery pack is designed with 12 modules, carefully chosen to meet the performance needs of the vehicle. Meanwhile, for a smaller car like the Chevy Equinox EV, fewer modules are required, resulting in a shorter and more compact pack. This level of customization ensures that each vehicle gets the optimal battery design depending on its size and performance requirements. What makes GM's approach exciting is the potential it unlocks for future upgrades. GM's flexible tech and global strategy. Because the battery management system can handle mixing old and new technology within the same pack, GM could theoretically offer updates to existing vehicles without requiring a whole new battery. Imagine swapping out a few modules for higher capacity ones down the line. That's the kind of innovation that could keep vehicles relevant for years. GM's global strategy is just as important as their tech innovations. They're not designing one-size-fits-all solutions, but tailoring their offerings to fit the unique demands of each market. For example, the prismatic design used in China shows how they're adapting to different consumer preferences and manufacturing needs. And with China leading the charge in EV adoption, GM's success there is a strong indicator of how well they're positioned globally. The Ultium platform's versatility also means GM can tackle a wide range of vehicle types, from rugged trucks to luxurious sedans and even compact cars. It's not just about meeting consumer demand, but also about preparing for a future where EVs dominate every segment of the market. And with battery costs dropping, these vehicles are becoming increasingly accessible to more people. GM's Ultium battery pack is a big leap forward, offering up to 450 miles of range on a single charge. That puts it near the top for EV range in the US, only outpaced by the Lucid Air Dream Edition, which boasts 520 miles. Tesla's Model S comes in at 405 miles, making GM's offering pretty impressive in comparison. Not only does the Ultium pack deliver on range, but it also weighs just a quarter of what GM's older battery designs did and costs about 40% less to produce. Those are some huge improvements that make GM's EVs more competitive than ever. GM has come a long way in its EV journey. Back in 2008, they introduced the Volt, which was more of a plug-in hybrid than a pure EV, offering around 50 miles of electric range before switching to gas. It was a solid start, showing that people were interested in electrified vehicles. By 2016, they launched the Bolt EV, a fully electric car with a range of 238 miles, making it more practical for everyday use. Fast forward to now, and GM's lineup includes models like the Hummer and the Cadillac Lyriq, which are not only capable, but also stylish and desirable. One of the key selling points of the Ultium battery is its cost. If GM really hits that goal of less than $100 per kilowatt hour, it will be a game changer. That's the magic number that makes EVs as affordable as traditional gas-powered cars. Tesla has reportedly been under $100 per kilowatt hour at the cell level for a while now, thanks to their use of cylindrical cells, which are cheaper to produce. But Tesla's pack design is more complicated, which eats into some of those cost savings. GM's approach with Ultium could strike the right balance between simplicity and affordability. The Ultium battery isn't just about cost and range, it's also about power. GM's Powerhouse EV Evolution. These batteries will drive GM's Ultium electric motors, which were unveiled in September 2021. The first vehicle to use this system is the GMC Hummer, a bold and powerful choice that shows just how far EVs have come. Hummer has always been about toughness and performance, and now it's proving that you don't have to sacrifice those qualities to go electric. GM's EV history goes way back, even before Tesla was a household name. They were actually the first automaker to seriously try to bring EVs to the mass market. Remember the EV1 from the late 90s? It was a fully electric car, but it was only available for lease in limited numbers, and the program didn't last long. After that, GM's first big EV was the Chevrolet Bolt, which debuted in the 2017 model year. While the Bolt was a step in the right direction, GM, like most other automakers, struggled to keep up with Tesla, which quickly became the dominant player in the US EV market. When it comes to GM's EV business, there's no denying they're making big moves with their Ultium Platform, but some people aren't entirely convinced it's revolutionary. Compared to Tesla, GM is still playing catch-up in the EV space, and their business isn't exactly in the same league. Tesla's dominance in the EV market is undeniable, and while GM has shown they're serious about electrification, they've yet to fully prove their EV strategy can hold its own. That skepticism isn't limited to casual observers either. Industry experts like Monroe and Associates, a consultancy known for tearing apart EVs and analyzing their designs, aren't fully sold on Ultium being ahead of the game. Monroe specializes in dissecting EVs to understand what makes them tick and how they compare to competitors. Their take? While GM's Ultium platform sounds promising on paper, it might be a bit late to the party. Monroe hasn't had the chance to do a full teardown of an Ultium-based vehicle yet, so their opinions are based on GM's claims and their own research into the industry. Even so, their initial impressions are that while the platform has solid ideas, it's not exactly groundbreaking. In fact, some of the features GM is highlighting, like the cell design, energy density, and streamlined wiring, are things other manufacturers have already been doing. It's not that Ultium is a bad concept, it's just not as cutting-edge as GM's marketing might make it seem. Take battery chemistry, for example. GM has reduced the cobalt content in their batteries, which is great since cobalt is both expensive and problematic to source. That's a smart move, but it's not unique to GM. Other companies have also been working on reducing or eliminating cobalt from their batteries, so this isn't a major differentiator. Similarly, Ultium's focus on flexible cell configurations and reduced wiring is something we've seen in other EV platforms, like those from Volkswagen. When it comes to comparisons with Tesla, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Tesla uses different battery form factors and chemistry, so it's not an apples-to-apples comparison. Tesla's cylindrical cells, for example, are cheaper to manufacture, and their overall design philosophy has always been about efficiency and scalability. While GM's Ultium platform has some innovative elements, Tesla's years of experience and head start in the EV space give them a significant advantage. That said, it's not all doom and gloom for GM. GM's progress and cobalt debate. The Ultium platform is still a step forward for them, and it could help close the gap with Tesla and other competitors. GM's ability to scale production, reduce costs, and deliver a wide range of EVs is crucial to their long-term success. They might not be leading the pack just yet, but they're definitely in the race. A lot of EV manufacturers are moving toward cobalt-free batteries, and GM has been getting some attention for reducing the cobalt content in its battery chemistry. But let's be real, this isn't groundbreaking. Tesla is already using cobalt-free lithium iron phosphate cells in its models for the Chinese market, which is a big step forward. Meanwhile, GM seems to be sticking with a nickel, manganese, cobalt, and aluminum formula. Sure, that chemistry has its perks, but it still relies on cobalt. Plenty of people are asking why GM isn't making a stronger push to eliminate cobalt completely from its lineup. It's a fair question, especially since the industry is clearly moving in that direction. Still, GM deserves some credit for designing its EV platform from the ground up. Starting fresh allows them to optimize their systems specifically for EVs, rather than just adapting existing tech. In theory, this should give them an edge in terms of efficiency and performance. They're not just retrofitting old systems, they're building something purpose-built for the future of electric vehicles. That's a smart move, even if it doesn't immediately put them ahead of the competition. Looking ahead, GM is promising some exciting upgrades with the next generation of their Ultium batteries. They claim the new version will have double the energy density and cost 40% less to produce. If they can deliver on that, it'll be a big deal. Doubling energy density means lighter, more powerful batteries, and cutting costs is critical for making EVs more affordable to the average buyer. GM has also hinted at advancements in lithium metal technology, which could be a game changer. Lithium metal batteries are known for their high energy density and potential to significantly extend the range of EVs. If GM can bring that to market successfully, it would be a huge step forward for the industry. The lithium metal stuff is the kind of ambitious, world-changing innovation people get excited about. It's not just about keeping up with competitors, it's about pushing boundaries and setting new standards. GM seems to recognize that, and they're making big claims about what their future tech can do. Whether they can actually deliver is another story, but it's clear they're aiming high. Lithium metal batteries are a big buzzword in the EV world right now, and for a good reason. They have the potential to revolutionize energy density and range for electric vehicles. GM's throwing its hat into the ring alongside heavy hitters like Ford, BMW, and Volkswagen, all of whom are investing in this technology. But the real test of GM's Ultium Platform will come when people start actually driving these vehicles. Talking about cutting-edge batteries is great, but the proof is in the driving experience. The Cadillac Lyriq is shaping up to be GM's first true showcase of what the Ultium platform can do. It's a sleek crossover that's aiming to hit a sweet spot with EV customers. Crossovers and SUVs are wildly popular right now, and the Lyriq fits right into that category. With a starting price of around $60,000, it's not exactly cheap, but it's competitive for a luxury EV. Plus, GM stands to make decent profits on each one, which is a key factor in building a sustainable EV business. The Lyriq is also meant to go head-to-head with Tesla, setting the stage for an exciting battle in the luxury EV market. But GM's plans aren't limited to luxury crossovers. They're also making a big push into the pickup truck segment, which is absolutely massive in the US GM's bold push into electric pickup. Full-size pickups are the best-selling vehicles in America, and it's a segment dominated by brands like Ford and GM. When both companies announced their electric pickups, the response was overwhelming. Ford, for example, saw massive demand for its F-150 Lightning, and GM wasn't far behind with its Silverado EV. The Silverado EV made its debut at CES in January 2022, and by April, GM had already racked up more than 140,000 reservations. That's a huge number, especially considering how new the electric pickup market is. Clearly, there's a growing appetite for EVs, even among truck buyers who might traditionally have been skeptical of electric vehicles. It's a sign that the market is shifting faster than many expected, and manufacturers are scrambling to keep up with demand. The surge in interest has caught automakers a bit off guard. Everyone's now racing to secure enough materials to build the batteries needed to meet this demand. And that's no small task. Batteries require a lot of raw materials like lithium, nickel, and cobalt, and the supply chain for these materials is under significant strain. Scaling up production while keeping costs down is the next big challenge for every automaker in the EV space, not just GM. General Motors is making some big moves in the electric vehicle world, especially with its Ultium Battery platform. This tech is all about improving charging efficiency and overall vehicle performance, which is a huge deal for everyday drivers. So, let's break down what Ultium's charging capabilities are all about and how they'll affect you if you're driving one of GM's EVs. GM's Ultium batteries support a bunch of different charging methods, each designed to fit different driving needs. If you're someone who loves road trips or just needs a quick boost in between, GM's got you covered with DC fast charging. The GMC Hummer EV, which uses the Ultium tech, can add around 100 miles of range in just 10 minutes if you're using a 350 kWh fast charger. That's a pretty big deal if you're on a long drive and need to get back on the road quickly. So instead of waiting around for hours, you can get a decent amount of miles in just the time it takes to grab a snack. But if you're not rushing and are just looking for a convenient way to charge overnight, Level 2 charging is the way to go. GM's Smart Charging Tips. These chargers typically offer between 11 to 19 kilowatts of power, which is perfect for when you're at home. Depending on the size of your EV's battery, a full charge could take anywhere from 7 to 12 hours. If you've got a GM EV, you can even use their own Ultium branded Level 2 chargers, like the Power Up Level 2 charger. You can install one of these at home and you're all set for a full charge by the morning without needing to worry about heading to a public station. Now, while it's tempting to plug your EV in as much as possible, GM has a few tips on how to keep your battery in tip-top shape. For daily driving, they recommend charging up to about 80%. This helps keep the battery healthy and extends its life over time, while still providing enough range for your day-to-day activities. Charging it to 100% every time isn't necessary unless you're planning a long road trip. Speaking of long trips, if you're hitting the road for an extended journey, it's totally fine to charge to the full 100%. GM's Ultium batteries are built to handle frequent DC fast charging without significant wear and tear, which is a huge plus for anyone who travels long distances regularly. On top of improving the batteries themselves, GM is also focusing on the charging infrastructure to make it easier for drivers to power up their EVs wherever they are. They've teamed up with a number of partners to increase the number of fast charging stations across the country. For example, GM is working with EVgo to roll out 2,700 new fast charging stations in the US by 2025. This is a big part of GM's strategy to make it easier for drivers to charge their EVs quickly while they're out and about. They're also collaborating with Pilot Flying J to set up 17 charging stations across 13 states, with plans to expand up to 500. These stations are positioned strategically along major highways to support long-distance travel, which helps alleviate the fear of running out of charge during a trip, also known as range anxiety. Plus, GM is partnering with ChargePoint to add another 500 charging stations across the country, which will make it even more convenient for people to find a charging spot, whether they're at home or on the go. Looking ahead, GM isn't stopping here. They're already working on next-gen Ultium batteries, which are expected to deliver twice the energy density at just 60% of the current cost. This could mean faster charging times and longer vehicle ranges, which is definitely something that will improve the experience for drivers. Another exciting development is the upcoming vehicle-to-home charging feature. This tech would allow your EV to act as a backup power source for your home, which is especially useful if there's a power outage or if you want to manage your energy consumption more effectively. So, what does all this mean for the average driver? Well, for starters, you can expect charging times to drop significantly as the fast charging networks expand and battery tech keeps improving. The days of sitting around at charging stations for hours will soon be behind you, which is great news for anyone who hates waiting. The growing number of charging stations means more convenience too. You won't have to worry about running out of charging options, especially on long trips. Stations are being placed in all the right spots, along major highways and in urban areas, so you'll always be able to find one when you need it. This kind of expansion makes EVs more practical for everyday use and for longer road trips. And let's not forget about the cost. Charging an EV, particularly if you're doing it at home during off-peak hours, is usually cheaper than filling up a gas tank. Depending on where you live, it can be a pretty big saving. So if you've been thinking about making the switch to electric, the cost of charging is definitely something to consider, especially with the increasing availability of public charging stations. What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you in the next one.